Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I am talking about the 4 wedding lenses that I take with me regularly and use on a typical wedding day. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Jenny. I am a wedding and family photographer based in Winchester in the UK. On this channel, I talk about wedding planning tips as well as camera gear chat and photography tips as well. And in today's video, I decided to take a break from all of the photography at home tips and videos that I've been doing recently. And I'm talking about the lenses that I take with me on a wedding day. I'll be talking to you about my FAB 4 lenses that I take with me on a wedding day. They are all Zeiss Batis lenses. I will show you some sample photos that have been taken on a wedding day with them. And then at the end, I'll show you a difference in perspective by shooting the same model using the 4 different lenses. So that should give you a sort of comparison view. Does that make sense? Okay, here they are. So first up is the Zeiss Batis 25mm lens. This is my widest angle lens currently, and it pretty much stays on the camera for much of the day. I use it to use establishing shots of the venue. I love it for candid or documentary style images as it is wide and shows the environment that the people are in. It also stays on for the formal group photos as well as the dance floor shots. Now, some of you may know that I shoot with 2 cameras always, and on my second camera, the 85mm, again Zeiss Batis lens, is usually on there. This is your classic portrait lens. I use it mostly for portraits, but also again for candid people shots, usually during the drinks reception, maybe during the speeches, depending on how much room or how little room I have. That is my 14mm lens. Actually, the 14mm lens is the one that I use usually to film these videos. Now, this one I usually use for group shots, the formal group shots of the day. The detail shots also, I like to use this one on as it can get in really close. It has a very close focusing distance. Fourth, and probably the least used, but I love it anyway, is the 135mm 2.8 Zeiss Batis lens. This comes out if I'm stuck in a spot in a large church, for example, or in a ceremony room where there isn't much room to move and I am quite a long way away from the couple. I usually put this on my camera. I do always like to use this at the couple portrait session as it gives a lovely compression, and if we are out and about in the landscape, it brings you quite close into the couple without being in their faces, but also really blurs the background beautifully. I also use this occasionally for the speech reaction shots, again depending on how much room I have in the room. So those are all my lenses, my FAB 4 lenses that I take with me on a typical wedding day. Now, when I say a typical wedding day, what I mean by that is a full day wedding. So usually from the bride or groom getting ready time up to just after the first dance in the evening. I do also photograph a lot of shorter weddings, smaller weddings at the Winchester Registry office, but I do take different gear for that because I tend to travel light, so we're usually walking around Winchester for those types of weddings. So those are my 4 FAB lenses. I actually nearly have all of the Zeiss Batis lineup that they have. I don't have the 18mm lens, which is again wide angle lens, obviously wider than my 25mm. One day I would like to own that because it is good for kind of again establishing shots, sort of the wide angle shots of the venue. It's quite fun to use also during the party or the dance floor shots. So it is good for kind of architectural or kind of property type shots. So I don't need it at the moment, but one day maybe it will be fun to have it and I'll have the full lineup of Zeiss Batis lenses. So why have I chosen the lineup of all Zeiss Batis lenses? I mean, there are a lot of lens manufacturers now that actually make really good lenses for the Sony cameras. And obviously Sony themselves make really good, very highly thought of lenses as well. Just to let you know, the Zeiss Batis range actually sits somewhere between the price range. You can get some relatively cheaper sort of lenses to some very expensive, the top of the range lenses, which Sony do for their cameras, and that's the GM lens collection. So Zeiss Batis sits somewhere in between all of those. Why did I choose Zeiss? Well, to be honest, I did do all of my research beforehand, always do, and basically it was a toss-up between purely Sony lens lineup and also a purely Zeiss Batis lineup, but what swung it in the end was that I got a very good deal on a second-hand Zeiss Batis lens, and that was on my 85mm portrait lens. So once I had that, I also found a good deal on the 25mm lens, and so I just had to go that way. So I started off with the 25 and the 85mm, then got the 135, and then the 40. Actually, I got the 135 and the 40 at the same time, again during a sale. And why did I choose Zeiss? Again, it actually fits somewhere in between the range of sizes as well as the pricing range. It also sits in the middle of the sizing range. So it fits and it actually balances really well on the kind of smaller A7 III bodies, Sony A7 III bodies. So I find that they're very well balanced when you shoot with them. So they're not huge lenses. They're not really super duper tiny lenses either. They are also weather sealed, and I think they've got a very simple kind of classic design, very nice to hold in hand when you're manually focusing. I sometimes manually focus, so I find that they balance really well on the camera. The other reason is that Zeiss is also very famous for what's called the 3D pop. So it is very sharp, it has a lot of micro contrast. I think that's where the 3D pop comes from, and also the colors are really nice and rich. So because they have that extra pop and natural 3D pop, then I don't have to do very much to them or add very much to the sharpness in post-production. And speaking of post-production, Zeiss is also very good at producing lenses across the range with kind of very good IQ, and it is kind of uniform throughout their lens collection. I don't know if I'm actually explaining this very well, but what I mean is that the characteristics of the lenses, whichever lens you're talking about, is very much the same sort of characteristics. So it's got that 3D pop, it's got the richness and colors. So what that means for me is that I spend less time faffing in post-production to make everything look the same. So it does cut down on my post-production quite significantly. So being a photographer, I obviously love taking photos, and that's a bit I really enjoy doing. Post-production, not so much. So anything that makes my life easier in post-production, I am all for. Now, obviously you can use all sorts of different lenses from different manufacturers, different cameras even, and still have your signature look. It just means that you will spend more time in post-production making everything look uniform or look more cohesive across your different lenses and cameras. Anyway, I have shown you some sample wedding photos taken with these lenses, and now I am going to end with some photos of the same model shot by these different lenses. Now, I do apologize in advance for my model. It is a figurine that I have lying around the house, but hopefully it will show you the differences in perspective of these different lenses. Okay, before I do that, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified of my next video. Also, please like and share this video with your friends and family if you think they'd like it. Thank you very much, and see you again next time. Here are the comparison photos.